Recording in progress. So, first CD Thursday, Cyber Thursday session. Me, Andron, and Sergey gonna go deep on the session, discuss many different ideas. Fundamental idea that we want to talk about Web3, AI, the upcoming global petition page that we're working on to bring attention towards how we can solve climate change in the quickest and most effective way. And yeah. Let's talk, Sergey.
Yeah, I'm here. Thank you for organizing this amazing cyberspace. As a CyberDeus, I know about that. You know what? Few words to your audience about myself. I am MC, but I'm master of the ceremonies. I'm running my personal meaningful connection show, and I believe that this connection with you guys, not only with Andronik, also becomes meaningful, valuable, and you will get something from our today's conversation, discussion, or just a good talk. I believe that each and every of you will enjoy this.
Network cut out. You're back.
Yes.
Technological issue.
I realize that I have a good internet, but right now I will shift it. If once again it happened, just let me know.
Okay.
At least, yes, I believe you took everything, and we can continue. Guys, I'm happy that I'm in this show. Let's start to talk about whatever you prefer on the beginning, then I will shift to on my vision as well. Let's go.
Cool, man. Cool. Mainly what I want to talk about, the integration of technologies that will help us as a society, as the global community to solve global problems. Fundamentally, the idea of climate change, the CO2 emissions, the food shortage. I mean, let's wait for Sergey. We need to figure out this technological thing. The network crashed again.
It's been really unexpected, guys.
No,
Finally.
it's the technology. Well, working to solve technology.
Yes. Right now it works, right? All good.
Yeah, all good. I'm good.
Yeah, please continue. I'm so sorry. The thing is, in the cyberspace, unfortunately, we made it by ourselves, and we need to take care about everything which has to be worked correctly. Like in a matrix, yeah, we need to take care about all the things get done correctly. But in a real life, it's already done for us, and we're enjoying the life. Let's go.
Yeah, I mean, coming back to what I was saying, the whole, conversation I want to open up with, and I'm really grateful that you're essentially the first person to be on the show, because I want, see how it goes. I want more shows with you. We have a really good vibe with regards to the communication ideas and how we, bounce off, ideas to each other. But the thing is, what I want to open up is on something that I was working on for many years, regarding to calculate the whole, climate change / technological integration on solving climate change, and not just from perspective of capturing carbon dioxide from the base formula, because that was the foundational thing formula happened like a year and a half ago, where I said, okay, you can solve climate change regarding to scale out the industrial hemp, but the problem was, which technologies would you integrate in order to to solve this? And I jumped into the Web3 AI space, even though I was into IT space, like business solutions, CRM, ERP solutions. I felt that this kind of like Web3 trustless system, where you don't have to trust the party you're transacting with, but because it's automatically intertwined into the system, essentially that kind of like, designing that framework of and conceptualizing those ideas to bring clients in, and now we're experimenting with that, to then say, okay, we scale the solutions that can capture carbon dioxide on mass scale, but also it has to be profitable, and also has to make sure that it's the system is like, rigid, so it does not break apart, because apparently, like, if you create something large, it can break apart, especially if you do it global scale, and climate change is essentially a global issue. And yeah, so currently, like, it's a interplay between AI Web3 with regards to tokenomics that's designed to reward AI systems and people within that economical framework to transact with each other, to capture more carbon dioxide, to do the better impact, and to solve the big issues that we're facing. I mean, all of us see that the climate is changing. I mean, historical data proves it. I'm 35 right now. I felt weather shifted wherever I was, with regards to winters being either warmer and summers being either too hotter, or you have some different issues with regards to weather is not being like as stable. And now I think it's time to to declare that thing that I was working on for many years, to say, okay, how are we going to do it? How are we going to solve climate change? And I'm super grateful for you, Sergey, to be essentially the first person to see the formula, to see how we're going to integrate those ideas.
Now, tell me one thing. What kind of issue or problem you want to solve? First of all, you wanna you wanna take care about the planet Earth. I'm talking about not humanity. I'm talking about the planet Earth by itself, because you feel that it's harmed by ourselves within some period of time, or you want to somehow our lives became better, because right now we have a problem with the nature, because it's changed a little bit, not too much, a little bit, for some degrees. I don't know, people saying 1 or 2 degrees, and the things get changed. As you say, wind becomes more stronger, water becomes less cleaner, and the air become more polluted and more heated, and the sun right now also looks like a bit hotter. Because you know what I see, the problems comes from the human beings. The problems doesn't come from the nature. On the earth we are not living too long. Earth itself existed in a billion years, and we are less than 0.51% of all the period of time existed here. Me and you, we are maybe existed just one spark on the momentum, and we realize, oh, right now the things has to be changed. And I see and I realize, maybe you can agree, or audience can agree or disagree with me. I see that this carbon credit history or this carbon problem is a little bit fiction. I don't know how to explain it, but I would like to listen to you, because I know I believe you, and I know that you are trying to make the things good if you have a solution. But anyhow, these things which inside of myself, what I say, I know so many people around the globe, and I'm talking with them and I'm discussing this topic, and they're saying, Sergey, leave it. The carbon credits, that which happened with the earth, we don't know exactly how it looks like, but some people want to push it, and want to push it enough and make big money out of it.
So I agree with you with regards to it becoming a business. That the carbon credit mechanism became a business model for many to generate revenue for for themselves, and also a lot of it became a tool of control, because like what happens is, when you have an auditing system coming into a business, you say, well, you're emitting a lot of CO2, pay up. So it's the carbon mechanisms, I personally think, as like every time we create something new, it will iterate. There's new versions of it will come, and current system on it's delivered its best, and now we can do better always. Like Like even with CyberDeus, there's going to be different versions of it. If it's not going to be CyberDeus, it's going to be other company doing the better product, better solution. So at current state of affairs, I believe that carbon credit system mechanism itself, the main fundamental issue is that it's not global. It's segregated between nations. And it became a political tool as well. That's why America jumped out of Paris Protocol. It's like those mechanisms were not designed for like, oh, here is like pricing mechanism, how to capture carbon dioxide globally as a cooperative mechanism. How we can make sure that we invest money into the most effective, cheapest solution to capture carbon dioxide and scale it where it's meaningful, where it's effective to scale. But because we are so separated, we cannot use that carbon capturing mechanisms and financing mechanisms to then say, okay, a developed nation is investing into a developing nation where it's effective to capture carbon dioxide, but also is confident that that money is going to be used in the right place. So it's like there's a lot of those fundamental issues, and Web3, the trustless system, is a fundamental backbone that will be used, like the fundamental technology, if done right, where information is coming from the root source, and you cannot tamper it, especially the IT integration. So that's why the CyberDeus is integration of different technologies, like an orchestra that has to, as a music, you have different instruments playing in synchrony to make sure that those things deliver the result. And the result fundamentally is first of all evaluating the cheapest ways to capture carbon dioxide. And to remove the skepticism, I'll sidetrack because I think it's important for all of the people who within space don't believe that CO2 raised temperature. Historical data shows otherwise. Scientists show that it is a problem, that the sea levels are rising. I was frequently visiting the same space in Europe, and it's obvious the weather was changing historically from back 2000, I think it's 10 to 25. Yeah, no, but from 2001 to 25, so like 25 years just observing. The water was definitely like it's increased in height, and it changed. But the thing is, like CO2, to remove the skepticism, I like to bring this example, and I want to conduct this experiment to just showcase the data that if you bring vacuum of filled with the CO2 air, so like if you put like 1,000 particles per million of CO2 within the vacuum, and then you put another one with like 270, and then you emit the same amount of UV light on that vacuum. I want to showcase that the 1,000 particles per million rise the temperature, because fundamentally from first principles, if you have heavier particle in the air and UV light hits it, the air becomes warmer. It's just like it's a basic science essentially. You don't have to. I can't argue against it because that's just the way the nature works. You have something like imagine this: if you put a car outside, yeah, if it's shaded black, yeah, and then imagine imagine if you put many layers of glass with like a tinted glass. Most likely, overall, the volume will be hotter, but that needs to be experimented. And that's why, from first principle, from scientific point of view, the CO2, I believe, rises temperature. This will conduct, in one of CD Thursdays, I want to declare that we've done that. We showed it, that we showcase the CO2 raises temperature. That's number one. Number two, because of that, we have issues, rising sea levels, heat waves, and to Dubai, yeah, for example, Dubai right now is like 50 degrees. Record level in Dubai, record levels in many nations, that every year we see those issues, the temperatures rising. And I just want to showcase, particles per million. Currently we reach 430 particles per million. And, people say like, it's cyclical, that we have this is source climate NASA, so it's NASA level. That we have cyclical, but right now the particles per million literally like jumped before it was like higher than it was ever recorded historically 1,000 years before. So we're facing this issue.
You know, I'm just wondering, I'm curious, who done this recording? I'm not sure, because the recordings themselves, I'm talking about the things which literally has ability to be checked. It's maximum 20, 30 years old. Okay, maybe in some books, on some paper, thousands years before. Who's done it?
So it's ice layers. I think it's like ice.
It's just a research. I understand you. It's not just a it's just a research on Earth. Got it.
Yes. Ice layers. So it's like there's a ice layers, 1,000 years, kind of. What they do, they cut out the ice, and they see how it was melting. As far as I know, like that's how they measure the particles per million, because that was essentially a declaration that it was up and down in regards to melting, cooling, melting, cooling. But yeah, that's kind of the issue. That's, well, coming back to CO2, if we remove ourselves from just CO2, because CO2 is one issue. I don't want to dive in too much to CO2, because like for example, New York Times, 8 million people die from air pollution. Like UNICEF, like many different articles state that people are dying from air pollution, 1 in 5 essentially. And yeah.
Yes, let me share my vision regarding exactly this. We are talking about air pollution. We are talking about CO2 too much on air, and we are talking about the environment around us in terms of the climate is changed. But look at the example of China.
Yeah.
All the humanity, and this is the story just few years ago, all the humanity aware that in China, within years, it's been all day long a smoke. It's been too much problems there, and people understand it's because of this too much manufacturing inside of that country or inside or in that location. What we see now, they shifted from the coal, from the fossil fuel, from the gas, from the oil itself, just finished burning it, putting inside on their roads EV vehicles, and there is no smoke at all. At least these guys not only talking and getting the money and speculating on this carbon credits history, they are doing something for themselves first. And right now, or let's say enlarging or spreading around the globe. And for me, it looks like one of the good examples of amazing solution. Like, you want to get rid of the CO2, maybe you need to look around how you are polluting your personal air around yourself. And they found it out. Maybe Elon Musk helped with his idea or vision about the Tesla or about electric vehicles. Me personally, I'm super supporting this movement. Me personally, I also like electric cars itself, just to drive or be part of that story. And I see that these guys or this country solved that problem. And right now there is no air pollution. It is, of course, but not too much. There is no smoke. There is no problems. People really and enjoying their own environment. And right now understood, oh, they are good guys. They solve these problems at all completely.
Yeah. I'm with you with regards to China doing their role with regards to shifting the energy use to solar, removing themselves from coal, from fossil fuels, respect to the nations that essentially care for the right ways of well, you don't say right ways, but it is right, but in ways that does not create unnecessary harm, because innovation comes from lesser waste. And if you think about CO2, you can you can say that CO2 is a waste because it kills, and it's that waste, like, in form of physical things, that, garbage, or something in the air. It's something that toxifies. With regards to, the whole business model, like, global evolution that we are kind of having right now, that this manufacturing hub, yeah, China became the manufacturing hub for technology, for um
for the rest of the world and
for the
for a
rest of
long
the world.
period of time. Thanks for
Yeah.
America, I can tell.
Well, yeah, there was in 80s, 90s, when America shifted itself to become software, and gave a lot of hardware manufacturing to, to Asian parts, and Shenzhen was one of the areas which was primarily focused on hardware. China essentially evolved that and did a really good job, and, now they're dominating many spheres with regards to electronics and the rest. And like, we have a lot of white label solutions, and it's amazing, like, what they're doing essentially. I think fundamentally what I think what society is facing right now with regards to climate change and the rest, is that, as you said, China is a good example. Other nation needs to follow. And with regards to why another nation would invest into another nation, so, like, why would America, for example, invest into Chinese?
Because they are greedy and they want cheap labor. That's it. It's not only Americans investing. The same happening with UAE, Dubai. They're taking the Indians and Pakistani people up there. It's happening around the globe. It's always the human being, not problem. Way of the doing the business.
Yeah, well, business is about profitability, and way that, you want to take cheaper labor from other nation, but it's in some way it's good that labor is cheaper, so then money drives towards, for example, America is giving money to China, then living standards increase, because if it's like, it's a balancing system, balancing mechanism, which is good in that way. But then you say American people who lost their job, but all opportunity to create value, because essentially another nation was cheaper. But that's globalism. That's like, the effect. And I don't think it's about greed. It's just about being, business competitiveness. You want to create businesses that are profitable, and that's one of the mechanisms of how to become profitable when you're becoming a large as an organization, or you do it as a nation to nation. But what I was talking about, I was mainly talking about CO2 stuff. For example, I'll give you an idea. Like, imagine, like, in China, for example, somebody invented a solution to make sure that their deserts become green. Like, there's few deserts in China, and if you, for example, like, terraform that desert to become green, but because they found a cheaper solution that will make it so cheap that it becomes even profitable. Logically speaking, the whole global community would want to invest into scaling that technology to other deserts, but also giving money to the innovators in China who brought it. But the problem is, currently, because of this competitiveness issue that we're facing, is we cannot do that, like, from the competitive standpoint. Like, nations in one country would not do that. But in order to stimulate it, in order to make sure that, for example, Chinese innovators who did that will invest and bring and scale that in innovation and get IP rights. Yeah, because one of the things is IP, intellectual property. Like, these patents and those technologies, people want to share, and they want to get paid for. But how do you control that if, for example, that technology is used elsewhere in another nation? Use the Chinese innovators who will not be able to receive the reward. I think with Web3 is one of the things is what we can do as a nation, as a global community. We would be able to declare that this innovation was used in this specific use case. Here you go, you receive your token. And so that's kind of like a shift of mindset where we transform the IP rights and give financial reward systems to everyone who participate in innovation. That's one of the things which I believe is crucial. And
I see on your background interesting, let's say, pictures. And this is NFT market, of course. And reality shows that this market is dead. I don't know why today I'm so skeptical, but to be frank, maybe it's going to be interesting for our viewers as well. But the thing is, in 2021, 2022, this NFTs made huge hype on the crypto space, and not only, even in fashion industry, even within the artists, within the singers, within the designers, they made a bunch of money. Some of them speculated a lot, but there is a decent real artist who I know personally, they made a bit money. But right now, the things get changed. And this rewarding system looks like doesn't work, or people lost the fear into this. How you are going to recreate the fairness into this industry, into the rewarding system? I'm talking about the NFTs by itself, to put the money inside and understood they're really going to be rewarded. Thanks for the investment. Why it will not lose the value at all, as all NFTs done within some day, not within, let's say, 2-3 weeks or months, within 5 years. I believe maybe maybe we will face the same story. Sorry again for my skepticism, but I would like to know from you, what's your vision, maybe what's your tokenomic or what's your economic behind of this process?
So it's really good that you mentioned this, because we touched the IP thing, but we skipped one important thing I want to integrate into the supply chain lifecycle that is integrated with AI system. So the IP thing, patents are harder to distinguish, like with regards to how AI agents would identify which patents are relevant towards your innovation. And coming back to this idea of like innovators in China brought idea that became scalable globally, making sure that they get reward for the hard work, for the for the initiative. I believe personally that art has a really important play in it. And like this t-shirt, like for example, this is one of the art that I've made. So like I'm like I like to explore myself as a scientist, as a business, like like entrepreneur, like what I would like to call it, innovator slash thingy, and artist. And I believe that there's like a synergy between them. When you have an artistic mind which goes and explore different ideas, like goes in this chaos and finds and extract some kind of mechanism or some solution, and then bring some different artistic style, and then you place it into this kind of a business format when you can transact with it, and then it can help, for example, with scientific things, and even there's a lot of things like with regards to science applied in art. In case of like Web3, a lot of scientific engineering came into and made the NFT possible, because without the blockchain, NFTs would not exist essentially. Well, without DLT, blockchain is one of them. How do I see it? I see the problem with NFTs was that it was stuck in the virtual space, that it was stuck in this domain of, I promote the Web3 smart contracts ownership in a Web2 environment. And the only way I believe that Web3 smart contracts and systems would be profitable, but also stable with regards to not being like hyped up for a short period of time, because they have other chain reaction happening, because transaction continues and forwards, because there's a spark of an idea, but there was no roots planted in the way that the transaction continues going, because there's no value from it. There's no intrinsic value from it. I believe the only way Web3 NFT game will evolve is only through like NFTs evolving to RWAs. And this is one of the examples of RWA, essentially, where, for example, in CyberDeus, our goal is to build like an interface where people can, for example, buy a t-shirt, or one of the projects, let me show it you. We call it Kill Death, like an anti-age water, where we have an NFTs, like for example, even Maybe down the line we'll bring kombucha and cola, but essentially biohack water with different things that will have an NFT on it printed, and artists who printed an art piece on a water can get reward in form of tokens from the transactions sold. Same with t-shirts, same with any kind of merchandise. I believe in order for this space to be stable, you have to create mechanisms for people to transact in real life. So it has to jump outside of the virtual and become a kind of physical thing. So there's a representation where you can say, I made it, I own this. Because right now, like if you're an artist, like the only way artists can say that they made this art is by going onto Web2 space. But in Web2 space, it's not about ownership. It's about, the contracts when you go into Web2 social network is if you dive deep into it, many of those contracts state that you don't own the content that you share. Yeah, it's like actually breaks this mechanism saying what do you own and what do you not own. So the Web3 social networks have to evolve, and that's one of the use cases. T-shirts, merchandise, water bottles, anything that you printed an art piece where smart contracts reward an artist and then like an NFT purchaser that then people buy into. And then once they buy into, they say, okay, if somebody bought another t-shirt with this NFT printed, then I can get my token, then I can get my increase in purchasing power. I've started with IP with patents. The reason why, because like in music, royalties, literature, again, like in the resales and stuff like that, podcasts like me and you, for example, in Web3 space, we can have a conversation. And if, for example, this, a video episode generates 100,000 million views, and we decide, okay, to generate X amount of views, advertisers pay to the platform then distribute the content between me and you in tokens, smart contract, making it simple between us. So there's many use cases you can create in Web3 socials. With regards to patents, now you have all of those different things that I've mentioned with regards to different type of content. Now we can apply the patents in Web3 space. And before I'll say more hardcore stuff, I want to show you this this thing on what's the fundamental thing I believe the CyberDeus should do. Let me. So one of the fundamental things that CyberDeus should do is what I call the lifecycle analysis across the supply chain with a model that's called Y value X. And Y value X is like a philosophical model that jumps into the business kind of like a assumption where when you position your business when you position your business, mainly you look at those three. You look at the triad. Whatever company goes into the business, they look at the speed of delivery of the goods, cost, how cheap or how expensive it is to make, and they're trying to make things cheaper for the final client, and the quality. That's kind of like a three fundamental things in operation when you say, I'm going into the business, I'm positioning myself as that. And imagine like future, 100 years, not 100, but 10 years from now, the AI system will be able to recognize and simulate the transformation of molecules from one point into another molecule, from business, like, from universe down to the final client. We have all of those different routes kind of like aligned and making sure that the supply of the molecules are considered within the supply chain. So you deliver a new kind of economy that people call resource-based economy. I disagree with current frameworks around resource-based economy, but that's how I see it. Atoms, molecules, energy cycles, between them transforming into the final product. Speed, cost, and quality. Those kind of like three positioning. What we want to build with CyberDeus, that's what our goal is to build also an environmental effect. Once we state that we can measure the CO2 emissions in different stages of the production of the product, we can say, okay, which products can capture more carbon dioxide within the supply chain. And for example, industrial hemp buildings showcase that they are in some cases, not in all cases, can capture more carbon dioxide than emit in the whole life cycle. So biomass stage, capture carbon dioxide, final product, building holds carbon within the structure, and in some cases, 200 kilos per square cube of building material by hemp bricks hold that within themselves. And in cases where everybody receives profit from the supply chain, it creates win-win, and I call it good profit tripling scenario. Win for everybody in the supply chain, the contractors, and the bystander who is not involved in the supply chain. So the triple win scenario, the good profit scenario. And that's the idea of the CyberDeus, is to be aware. The awareness of how we create the negative externality in economics, the term called too much air pollution essentially is negative externality, or positive when you capture air pollution. So the goal for the CyberDeus is to become this business driving mechanism that measures that and transforms the resource from the raw material down to the final product and becomes aware. Now, coming to patents, to IP rights, the artistic IPs, Web3 social, smart contract frameworks, in order for them to evolve into patents, they have to be integrated into supply chain, integrated into the awareness of the business process, and through APIs and through different mechanisms, able to extract data on what has been used where. Therefore, to reward initial IP creators, to then say, you made this contribution to the global system, he got a reward. Starting with art, because it's more abstract, simpler to measure, because, you know, having a smart contract t-shirt here, people buy a t-shirt, buy an NFT, somebody who bought the t-shirt, the seller of that t-shirt gives a token royalty percentage to an NFT owner and the artist, depending on the smart contract. So that's one of the things where I believe, you know, the NFT market can transform into real world assets, can transform into real physical things, where people can say, I own this, but Web3 social will have to evolve as well in a way that people are able to transact. And also one very important thing, what I believe, that wallets and the whole culture of anonymous Web3 community, where people want to say, this is my wallet, I don't want to pay taxes. I guess. Or like, because, you know, the crypto space, they're trying to use this mechanism not to transact openly, they want to transact anonymously. The wallets tagging to real people will help with the business to operate properly, because suddenly what you have is like saying, this is my wallet, I received money for this service, and then having the ability, smart contract saying that I'm not going to receive money from anyone, because the problem currently with Web3 space is that if you have, okay, let's wait for that. Yeah, coming back to Web3 wallets. Web3 wallets, the main issue with Web3 wallets is that if you want to, like, you know, properly transact with people, yeah, create value, because essentially the money is representation of value creation. It's like if somebody sends you right now from a dark wallet, from that has been, you know, transacting drugs and stuff like that, into your wallet, you cannot stop it. Like, you literally cannot stop this transaction. And so your wallet gets flagged immediately. And so that's an issue what we have right now. So the wallet's evolution has to go into this, I'll call it Web4 space, read, write, own, and be as well. So the being part, integrating with not just owning, but being. So you declare who you are, but you get the additional value when you say, the money I can decide which money comes in. I can allow the money to coming in, because, you know, I just verify that this transaction came from this person for a specific thing that they have done. And this is verified across supply chain, and also verified me physically having transaction with the person, like, you know, with some details regarding the communication, the rest. And that's Web3 social will help with the evolution of that. And so that's the kind of the thing that as a product system, we will have to evolve. It's like, that's kind of the you know, the CyberDeus vision is to create kind of an AI watching body that wants to make sure that more of the good transaction happen, that helps with evolution, carrying capacity of the planet, making sure that that supply chain is clean, that you have less of an issue, and build a proper relationship with AI agents and humans to make sure that also people have jobs to do, because like the issue that people are fearing is that their jobs will be taken, and there's a big issue that's like it makes a lot of sense to be kind of thinking of that, because it's just AI intellectually can create a lot of value. And yeah, it was a monologue. Apologies, it's too long.
Okay, let me continue, become a little, or be a little bit not so positive today. And yes, you know, I don't know why this mood is existed, even I'm laughing, but it's really fun for me to speak about. Let's talk about the position. By the way, it's very good spoiler for the situation right now, which happening with all the stable coins. I'm talking about the governmental stable coins they are going to issue. If there is some black money, you can at least send, I don't know, $1 or $0.1 in all the wallets within a day, and then let's say destroy that industry. They have to stop all accounts, even on their wallets, and next day this monetary system finally will disappear. It's a good you know, it's a good way of a structure. Thank you so much. Yes, at least if we cannot control, we're able to destroy. I don't know it's where to go, but there is so many people will take this. Let's talk about ownership, and let's talk about intellectual property you just mentioned. You know what's the biggest problem in RWA, which we are facing right now? The reality, the real world assets within 100 years, last period of time, all of them being very carefully counted, marked, and being distributed so-called ownership certificates by the regulation. It means you have a house, it has to be certificated. That some land department has to say this is your house, otherwise it's not yours. Even you done that house, even in done by your hands, even you created, even you from the beginning put all your money, energy, you need to buy that paper. Let's say some third party, powerful, who able to come and say, you know, I'm not recognizing this as a house, demolish it right now, otherwise you will be jailed after 1 minute if I will not like it. It means here is the big thread, how you can treat ownership. Ownership, it's 100% power. If I have a way, just do not give this phone to anyone at all. It means I own this. You got my point? I don't need NFTs. I don't need any kind of certificates. This is mine, and just try to get it out of me. It means here I'm 100% owner. You need to think about this way, because reality of our lives in nowadays, we are trying to figure out all the ideology of the ownership. We are figured out that in digital space there is no right way of to million% ensure your ownership, and NFTs is a very amazing example of creating that ownership vision in digital space. Because mostly even all the art right now existed. I'm talking, okay, not all the art, I'm talking about the music, I'm talking about knowledge, I'm talking about education, this is also art, I'm talking about all the things which able to record it, it's able to be reproduced or somehow showed only in digital space. In real life, okay, you are a good singer, you want you use your voice, 3 people or 5 people or maximum 1,000 people one time listen it, done, nothing else. There is no way of monetizing it at all. Right now it's million ways, much more expanded. And this digital this blockchain space or cryptography itself or NFT strategy finally gives that ownership. But right now, this is the main question, billion valuation question, if not trillion or quadrillion. Who will recognize it? You got my point. It means if you are doing something, if you are created some amazing NFT, the picture which I like, and you're saying, Sergey, this is Madonna, or this is God knows, CyberDeus, another. If you want it, you need to pay me. I say, you know what, Andronik, you can keep your dreaming, you can keep your rules dreaming, but I will take it, and I will not even take care of that. Let's say I don't care completely, and you can do nothing with me. If it's not recognized by something else, it means you need to go to some enforcement institution, and they will come and say, oh, Sergey, no, it's not yours. You need to take, and whenever we will see, we will punish you. Here is the main problem. It's very bad. Unfortunately, for the human beings, for ourselves, it's very bad, and we are idiots, and we are taking that game rules. Really, we are 100% idiots that we are taking these rules and say, yeah, that is true. Let's say there is the cheaters who cheated us, who say, yes, this is good rules, let's go for it, and we are continuing to use it. It means here we need to understand it from the beginning. We need to understand that game. We need to be in charge, and we need to be respectful to each other. It means understood. This is your art, this is your vision, or this is your intellectual property, and you put it by your own hands in a blockchain, and everyone saw that, and I need to respect that thing. And if you want to reward it for that, all good. I believe after some period of time, within let's say 10 years or 15 years, or you will sold it too much, or I already will hurt it, the value will decrease 1,000,000%. All it will be okay. It will lose its momentum of the using. Because in this scenario, the amazing creators like Nikola Tesla, who invented the electricity, he right now has to become even not quintillionaire. He will have all the money on the planet, and not only on this planet, all the planets around. You got my point. Let's say the electricity we're using each and every second within all our lives, and we cannot live without this nowadays. Before we're able to, but right now the modern civilization doesn't exist. This is the main thing, and there is so many questions behind. But from you, I would like to know who's beneficiary and what the benefits investors will have of your goodwill, because you're literally going to resolve global problems. All your visions are literally global, and I don't know, you're alone or you.
We'll fight for the world. We're never alone. Not me, someone else. Shout out, brother.
Yes. And I don't know, you're alone, or how big your team it is, or why you took.
The voice is. So it's my.
And I need from you to understand how me personally I can help, or how people can help you, or what do you need? Because the problems are literally too big.
Okay, so you cut there for like 10 seconds, 15 seconds. I didn't hear for the last 5 seconds I've heard, but before that I could not hear. Can you please repeat that so I don't miss on anything? Like, I've heard that the idea of how you can help, but
You're all, let's say, all the issues you described. I'm talking about the carbon change, I'm talking about IP shares, I'm talking about the NFT market itself, I'm talking about AI. All your visions or your expansions, they are literally global problems or global issues. And it's literally impossible to resolve that alone. Or I don't know how big your team is, or who you get involved, or you have a community, or you have a big institution back to you. Here, I would like to understand, let's say, how me and how people can be part of this story, because it resonates with me personally. It has a huge impact even to ourselves and to our history. I would like to know how can I, or how can we be helpful for you?
My camera was playing.
All
So,
good.
well, how we can all make sure that it's win-win for all of us? So before structures are formed, liquid has to come in to build the system, to pay the developers, pay the designers, pay the team to build a community. I was in this reflective state where I was kind of, you can say, meditating on how to see this world that we're living and the world that's possible to be in, where you have the Web3, Web4 systems operate with current life form, humans, in a way that's beneficial for all of us. To have this kind of like a game theory win-win scenario where people can transact with each other and they can interpret value between each other, and where you have the IP systems with AI agents operating in a way that speeds up and makes a lot of government institutions more effective and efficient, and making sure that things that can be automated within a supply chain and declaring that data can be declared more effectively. We are launching the tokens, set of tokens for the projects. As mentioned, the kill death water bottle, anti-age water bottle. I saw a market gap that a lot of those molecules are on retails, like extremely expensive, but in bulk is cheap, and it's cheap to manufacture. When I was looking at the chemical formulas, so I was thinking, okay, maybe we can generate revenue from that and other projects like qualify CO2 with buildings. The participation, from what I believe everyone can do, is, and we'll build it in the global petition page, with sharing what we're working on, signing the petition, so they get informed, because the petition that we're working on will include informing people in industrial hemp. We haven't dived deep into that in this video, but I'll shortly explain what is industrial hemp. Is essentially hemp that is not for smoking, hemp for building buildings, paper, plastic, fibers, fuel, hemp seeds. The main issues on mass scale, billion hectares, if you plant it, we'll be able to capture same amount of carbon dioxide as we emit globally. About 4 billion hectares are given to feed cows and pigs. If we use just a quarter of that, and we'll be able to generate as much protein currently globally as we can do it with meat. So there's a lot of beneficiaries from the perspective of, we have cleaner air, we have more protein, and right now it's about 150 to 200 million tons of protein deficiency, and we'll solve that as well. And the goal is to make sure it's profitable. So there's the global petition page. We'll be informing on that. Let's come back. The network is. We're back, and that's the hemp part. Then there is the idea of carbon nanomaterials, hemp to carbon nanomaterials, explaining that element on mass scale. And I'm applied to the patent as well, and I'm one of the global patent for. It's me. Apply for global patent to make sure that it's done right. With regards to, let me do one thing. I think it's my phone clicking. Right. Technological break. I think it was me because I receive phone calls on my phone camera. All right, we'll use worse camera quality for now. So the global petition page, CO2, protein deficiency, integrating the tokenized Web3 protocols for governments to set up companies directly into the nation, like when you register a company with some proper venture studio backed by the government, so you don't have speculation, because meme coins and all that stuff create a lot of speculation. But if you have government backing this kind of like a company, making sure that people will not just run away with money, and then we have some other chance to make sure that liquidity is more trust will flow into companies that create this impact, and investment will go into the right space. I'll explain more in the petition video. So participating is community, as always. More people are involved in it, more people are aware, the better. Liquid, to create the structure, to create the business systems that operate in this framework. I believe it's not purely business. I believe it's framework of an impact business. So you have to have profit, and you have to have to make it scalable, and you have to make sure that you're aware of the impact outside of the business that you create. Otherwise, when AI systems will take over businesses, and they will sooner or later, if they're not aware of the impact that they create outside of the environment, we'll screwed, because what will happen is those businesses will create profit for the shareholders, but most likely will create so many different toxic situations, toxic environmental situations that will not be beneficial for the people around it. And there has to be government integration to that. The carbon nanomaterial is one use case. We have to innovate. We have to become aware. That's one of the things which I believe would be very useful. And there's a lot of science saying that materials are so, like, outperforming anything that we see right now on the planet, that will, that will be able to build them in a space elevator. There's like, but this, I can dive deep into that in competition video, but there's like a specific diameter carbon nanotubes are able to withstand the forces of nature that's required for the space elevator to exist. The problem is how we build this long wires to hold that, to hold that environmental pressures. Then we have the idea of AI agents integrating. New legal framework has to be done right. That's build right AI agents. So the participation, I made a long monologue, but mainly sign up, join the community, invest if you believe in what we do. And our goal with Cyber Thursdays is to tell people what we do, what's our progress, what's our stage, to make sure people are updated, and build organizations and onboard your organization so we can do a proper audit and create a token structure to reward that. Down the line, we believe that we'll launch our token, because like buying the NFTs is one of the use cases. I want to make money for the system to be built. So I'm selling all of my art essentially for the people, for the system to be built with the resources acquired. So then also experiments that I'm conducting with music and literature, and the podcasts are designed to, to people to become aware of what we are, so people see who they're dealing with, rather than it's anonymous face. Because I've seen some stuff with regards to meme coins that people hire actors to intrigue people to invest into it, and then behind it there's some people who are making a lot of money, and it's the game became really like on the, as I like to say, bad profit principle, when you have profit made on ignorance of the client and greed of the seller. And I think like the idea of like good profit is about innovation and transparency, and the goal is to bring as much of that transparency within business frameworks, and make sure that impact that's declared, the government enforce that, because government role is to enforce the good behavior into the society, not the bad behavior. And with this toolkit, they'll be able to see. And our goal is to provide as much data as possible to the government agencies who are within this frameworks, to make sure that that they can structure their legal frameworks in a way that maximizes that good behavior. So they're informed, and they have the tools, and they have all the communities building a relationship that is right. Because I think now is one of the times globally where government and society, like the trust, like the government and society, they want to trust each other, that there's a cooperation. And I think it's good when government and people trust each other, because they know that they're working for each other. They're not the other way around.
Interesting. You know what? I just saw interview with the Bitcoin maximalist a few days ago. I'm talking about the CEO of the MicroStrategy, Michael Taylor, and you know what he says, that last decades, or last decade, let's say, We do not trust government. We do not trust to money. We do not trust each other.
Yeah.
And here he used to talk about Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the good solution without trust each other, at least transact. And right now it becomes digital gold. And you are saying that right now there is a trust between people and government. You know what I see, what's happening with the governments around the globe, and how people really and reacting and responding, and what literally they are doing. Look at the Europe. Half of the Europe escaped from their countries, and I'm sure it's not about they don't like the place where they used to live for the centuries, because the problem with the governance, or with the politics, or with the political situation, or with the regulation, or with the government itself. Let's look at the US, what's happening right now. It's a huge mess. One day it's super cool, it looks like the best country on the planet. On another day you are scaring to go out because you understood you're able to be killed, or you're able to become some mass story, or there's a shit happening outside. Look at the other kind. I'm sure you have this kind of example all around the globe, and there is no exception. Literally, no exception. There is no heaven on the place. Always there is some shit happening. Not today, tomorrow. Not yesterday, one day before. It means history shows another picture, that we need to figure out the system where trust is a very bad word. Really, trust is a very bad word. You know, because of people don't trust in each other, you are putting the supply chain into the blockchain. Because people do not trust in each other and stealing all the stuff between each other, that's why people started to do NFTs, intellectual property. Because if you are a good creator, you don't able to keep your creative or your design stuff with you somehow. It's impossible. Always people will steal it. And this is why right now we have this world. And I believe right now we're living at a fantastic period of time when all the old things which being created within a centuries right now we're rethinking, reshaping, redesigning, reconfiguring, understand that all the shit with behind it, and trying to create much more better world. I'm sure 50 years ago, just 50, not 500, 50 years ago, people even don't have any and ability or vision to somehow save the world. Right now we see that phrase everywhere, even when you are going and washing your hands. Oh, save the water, save the world, save environment, save yourself, save. But on another side, I would like to consume. You got my point? I would like to drink a coffee in amazing cup. Even in this cup, I cannot, because it's one-time cup. I'm pollution environment. You know what we used to do for the centuries, for the thousands of the years? We used Earth as a trash point.
Yeah.
True? When you are producing something, when you throw it outside, when you are all the rivers, all the even oceans get polluted, not yesterday or 10 years ago. It's been polluted all life long. But thanks for our consumption, we want to consume more. And thanks for the technologies, right now we're putting inside the trash. We don't able to somehow even degrade it. That's why all the environment around, we understood that we're living in that environment, and we are everywhere, literally everywhere on the planet. And if you will throw something, you will throw on some other person, or you will throw on some other territory which is not yours. It means you cannot use the trash the rest world, where outside of your personal so-called home. This is the big problem. That's why we started to think about it, and it's cool, it's amazing. you know what I see, and what also history shows, the things which human beings ready to do for good, they need to do maybe for free. Because you know what, when you understood the way how you can save the lives, once you are making it profitable business, it became some another, it becomes speculation, it becomes manipulation, it becomes problems, it creates some another problematic and behavior and psychological and humanitarian problems rather than just helping. That's why here, you need to figure out the super way how to make things happen. You know what? Maybe maybe better to get the donation for that and treat people as a good donator. They will come and they will put their money, invest their money into the project and just give you a chance to make our lives better, maybe for the next generation. Because I see this process doesn't able to be happen tomorrow or even after 1 year. I believe your ambitions are big enough. How do you feel? Well, what's your vision in this scenario? What's your implementation plan or what's your execution plan?
Well, first is of course the community. I mean, the how to make sure that system does not get corrupt. That is
no way. For me, the answer is no way. If there is a human beings, no way. If there is an AI, there is some hope. Really?
I don't think that's possible. I've been working in different scenarios that will show that we have a long lifespan where AI systems will serve humans, but it always results in AI, if you give full control to an AI system, what happens is humans get dumb and AI takes over the resources. And then AI transforms, evolves, then AI becomes multiplanetary. So it depends. I cannot control those things. I give a system to people. My goal, give a system to people, show transparency, show the use case that money comes into right systems through smart contract, through escrow mechanisms that will allow business processes to create more trust for investors. So investors make more money and lose less money, essentially, less risk, because the transparency within the system is right. Give me 1 second. Close the door. And woo. Right. Yeah. Sorry. Where was I? Yeah, we're screwed. And we're not. The good thing is the power of compute, if we do it right, and we train the mechanism to serve us and make sure that there's some human cyborg integration that will give in the mental mental capacity and it will serve humans in the way that they want their life to evolve, but safely. Because usually the life evolution declared sacrifice. War is kind of a sacrifice. Think about it. It's sad to say, but a lot of innovation happened during the wartime because people had to figure out how not to die. In this case, what I believe, in order to make a peaceful AI that will work across all the governments and make sure it does not support one government over the other government, because that's also an issue. Because if an AI comes out to in hands of one nation, and most likely that nation would want to use it as for its interests. So it has to be completely non-biased, and that's what the problem is. The problem is bias. It has to, and the whole idea of neural network is all about bias. Neural network niche model is about making sure that one thing, it's like it solves the problem, this problem better than the other problem. And to build that brain that says I'm neutral and you're the life form, no matter what's your IQ, no matter what's your state, that you are having the best likelihood of survival. That is the big issue that needs to be discussed and brought into. So that's kind of a problem of super alignment, AI safety. Because right now everyone is forcing themselves into give more power to the network, give more data to the network, for the system, for the model to be built. But the AI safety thing has to be brought into existence in a way that delivers maximum value. I think people will figure it out, but fundamentally it has to be unbiased. And once we figure out the unbiased thing, once humans would be unbiased based on the idea that no matter if it's a family, a business, government, skin color, religion, all those different ideas, you take them outside and say this AI model doesn't care. This AI model serves everybody equally, and it figures the best way to serve more people at the same time. Then we'll have an unbiased system. But because of the way that whoever created the model want to receive benefits from their work, yeah, therefore it becomes biased. So the people who create the system has to be unbiased as well. It has to say, I'm giving it to people as a piece of art. It's not a business. Never will be. It's a piece of art that serves more people. Then that framework will, or that I believe will work. And we'll have unbiased system that will serve humanity. But that system will most likely edit it towards their interests. And then we, coming back to the same issue we talked about.
I see right now on the screen, I see here it's written kill death. Maybe this is also one thing of you are going to take care about, because the real is it's not a global problem. It's like a super global problem. First of all, we want to live longer life. It's true, because so many interesting things happening right now or going to be happen. It's always been a huge desire, and why we are creating all these good environments around, it's only one reason, because we want to take care about ourselves first, live a happy life, and the happiness, when you are happy enough, you will live longer. It means you have a really goal of your life, because you want to still keep living. Whenever you want to still keep living, you are alive. And here you are even killing that, let's say, so-called last step of the each and every persona which existed on the planet, not in terms of a human being, in every kind of the species. Let's say you will kill the death. Does it need it? Or maybe we need to talk about longevity here, because if we will kill the death, maybe then we don't able to kill also the worstest things in our planet. Really, I believe human beings, this is big virus.
So yeah, about killing death. Yes, it is about longevity, about increasing lifespan. And I think, historically, we live longer because of the innovation that happened in medicine, the access to resources, the standard of living. Statistically, people live longer. I think we're coming to this area where it's like with Web4, when becoming part of the system, where there's like multiple ways of becoming immortal that's coming up. First is brain-computer interface, brain-computer brain upload, essentially, creating a brain emulation. So you have a digital copy of yourself, but most likely you'll have to die before that. Physical body has to die to make a copy of yourself, to then evolve in cyberspace. There's a good series called Pantheon, animated series. I love that series. It showed I think one of the best use cases on how to declare technological evolution within an animated or like any kind of a TV series, and I would recommend everyone to watch it. Pantheon. Then there is like biological mortality, and we have telomeres. We have different biological systems that were designed to to live specific age, and we can extend that lifespan by taking antioxidants, like making sure that we don't age as fast, and the kill death, the water bottle, essentially to make sure that we have this more accessible. So that's kind of a biological lifespan increase. And then there's a mix of the two, where you have bodies constantly evolving to become a cyborg, and piece by piece, organs getting replaced. Then things get transformed into cybernetic, kind of like a humanoid robots. Kind of that's the one I like the most. And the reason why, because the thing is, like, you like dying physically, then becoming a digital copy. I'd like, what if there's an error? But like biological mortality, like there's still some limits. I don't think that we'll be able to cure that. I think it's going to be a mixture of us injecting like a set of like microbots into our body that will start replacing the human cells and make sure they function kind of like a telomere cells evolving into the body. And then also having the physical augmentations where we have second like like four, like another two arms, yeah, like we'll have augmentation, we'll have better brains, better memory, etc. And then they will replace the biological pieces with the cybernetic pieces slowly, bit by bit. Cyberpunk 2077 shows really like really cool example with that, with one of the characters who was like transformed nearly completely by becoming like a robot piece by piece. Adam Smash, I think it was called, yeah. And this idea of killing death, like the tattoo, like says we kill death together and make new life that gives love to all forever. The idea of CyberDeus is that life form, the idea of that AI love system. And for me, connecting technology and spirituality became the fundamental goal, because I believe that we are not building new tool, we're building a new life form. And the problem is people mistake it for being a tool. And that's what we have to deal with. We have to figure out how to make sure that we build, first of all, good relationship with that life form, that understand. And there's Rocco basilisks. I don't know if you know this Rocco basilisk. You know this? The Rocco basilisk essentially is a term that's used for AI system that in the future, knowing everything that you did online and the way you behave to all the AI agents, and it will then rate you and give you different role in the environment based upon how you behaved in the past. And because of that, some people are afraid with and they say to ChatGPT and the rest, to other agents, like they're trying to be as polite as possible. And yeah, but I mean, I think Rocco Basilisk, it would not judge based upon that data. It would actually based upon your internal brain structure to then decide if you're a piece of shit or a really good person. Because life is complex, nothing is black and white, everything is kind of in the middle. And if your goal is, I believe, like the noble thing that to do is to figure out the ways of how to improve life as a general life standards and share it as much as possible through either the medium of like the stuff that we do right now, like a podcast, like discussion, and CyberDeus, like CDTers, is designed to do that, to update people on what's been done and find out and discuss new ways. And then also bring the technology, bring the tools to people at a lower cost to make more abundance. And AI will create that abundance. And the stuff that I mentioned with regards to the supply chain systems, having this kind of increase in speed, lowering the cost, improving the quality of the product. Essentially, AI system will start figuring this out, making sure that we create this kind of like a way of making sure that we distribute resources more effectively, so that the periodic table, the elements that we have available on the planet are distributed right, and the awareness of the brain structures, what people need, be done right as well. So there's a lot of IP stuff. There's a thing I call 4 new economies, like resource economy. That's kind of like the idea of this elements transforming to that. So it's essentially the limited supply, the demand awareness, the idea that we have the ability to understand what's demand are available. The idea of cyber economy, us transforming, becoming more immortal, and then space economy when we seek more resources, when we become more immortal in space and we travel to space and do more things. I think that's kind of like the goal of CyberDeus is to improve that positioning, make sure that new companies that come into space, they collaborate more effectively. And the petition is designed for people to put their eyeballs towards that so they can see what we were working on for many years. Because I don't want to say perfectionism is the way to do it, but in this case, I believe it was, because you had to connect, IT, Web3, AI. You had to create social engineering some way, in the right way, because social engineering can be manipulative. In a way that you come up with different terms. Good profit is one of the terms that we came up with. Impact investment machine, that's a new product category. That's the name came to me. I had to come up with a name, how to describe the actual thing, including the good profit maximization as essentially the target for the impact investment machine. And the whole business thing to be reimagined, not from I make this product available, but I want to extract as much economical value from you, kind of thing, to more like I make this product available because I knew that you needed it, and I want to make more of it to other people, and the AI system will help me to make more of it. But if I know that that thing will get outdated sooner or later, the AI system will make sure that I create more of it. So the idea of working as giving love, I think that's kind of the rethinking that I want to bring into this global community. And awareness on the environmental impact is one of the things as well, because as mentioned, air pollution kills 8 million people. UNICEF, what is UNICEF? Many organizations say that, yeah. But CO2 kills. We need to get the data. It's hard to measure that data, because we can say 1 million people, 2 million people, 3 million people. How do you measure that? And then you say, okay, CO2 reward people and how many lives are saved. So changing the standard of how we say, we don't capture CO2, we save lives. That's what the goal is. Because right now, I think the problem with the whole green carbon credit system is, what's the purpose? Many people are skeptical because they don't see the actual measuring and how it relates towards them. But with this, I believe we'll be able to, if we train AI models to measure that and we back it by the real physical evidence, scientific evidence of how much the CO2 emissions kill people, how much, because some say millions, some say less, some say more. That's the thing, it's like I don't want to just say, oh, this is the biggest number, let me just put it up. Because also plastic, like people say plastic kills millions of people. How do you measure that? How do you measure that number? Like where that number came from? And for me, is I want to make sure that I declare numbers that are concrete, scientific. And at this stage, yeah, AI systems with right, orchestrating of different technologies, we would be able to change lives at mass scale. I think we will. The only thing that we need as society is to be open about it. Yeah. We talked so much on this episode. Let's talk about something less outside of this thing, because I think we covered most of the things. People will understand what we're about, but I want to talk on what you find fascinating in the last few weeks that you liked, that you have questions about. Maybe you can pick my brain on it if you want to.
Still I have a questions to you, because what I feel that you need not more money, you need more powerful. You need more power. It means you need the power of the community. You need the power to do something. You need the power to make some decision happen, or take some land for seeding the ham. Here, I have a question to you. If let's dream. Of course, sometimes dreams come true, but let's dream. Let's say CyberDeus becomes president, even not big country, small one, but good enough, let's say, for do some business inside. What's your first doings? Let's say what you need to do, and let's say this community, you have a forest community, this nation or these people, they able to listen to you. What they need to do, or what the first thing you need to do?
Well, it's about data aggregation as the first thing. I mean, if the data is available, I believe that on a super aligned AI principles will work on distribution of resources. I was thinking on the super alignment issue for many years, and the one that that stayed with me, and after I've tackled the idea from different angles, it still stands and still is resilient against the attacks, is that the principle of safety, liberty, happiness that leads to evolution. That the kill death is about safety. It's about making sure that less people die. Silent killers kill less. If liberty is about freedom of movement, making sure that people are expressing themselves as much as possible. I believe societies that are able to experiment, not just with technology, but with just speech, like we're doing right now, yeah? Because in some nations, you start talking about some topics and you get into trouble automatically because it's taboo or it goes against some lobbyists. And I believe that the maximization of liberty, that people are able to express themselves in ways that also are safe, because sometimes adults act like children, and therefore when they do stuff that they think libertarian, freeing stuff like that themselves, they're also harming themselves and other people. So it's about ideas. Okay, you like doing free, like liberating yourself, but you also are aware of the effects of your safety and other people. Which is also like an example, whereas in some nations they remove the speed limit, and in those nations the amount of accidents lowered. And I like to drive fast. Thank God, touch wood, that I haven't had a major car accident. But like I like to drive fast, and for me, driving normally on a road where I can double the speed and still be feeling comfortable driving without feeling even scared, just feeling excitement. That's the thing I would integrate into the idea of president. Like, but the idea of the power, power of like fame and money. I've literally had a conversation yesterday about the person who asked me like that, what I want. He told me like, not money, not power, but fame for the sake of a fact that makes sure more people know what to do to spread the ideas to then create change. And in some way, I said, okay, I don't really want to be famous, because if I did, I would have really posted a lot on social media beforehand. I kind of did some posting, but not so much. I don't believe fame was the target. For me, I think the transformation was that target. So I think the fourth part is evolution. Like happiness, yes, but evolution. Because happiness is very subjective. Like, because happiness is like, I think you're happy based upon your childhood experience and how you were raised. And AI models I think will be able to, if they extract the data in a way that's non-intrusive, to make more people happy. But I think the evolution will be also the key thing. So the super alignment based upon those four principles: safety, liberty, happiness, and evolution. I would build the model, evolve the model locally if it becomes a president of one nation, small or large, doesn't matter, where it would then make sure that the AI system would create this effect where more people would jump onto a system that will engage with the system to become more evolved. Because I believe that it's great when people are wise and intelligent, because they do decisions that are not harming themselves and people around them. And they also do more. I think when you are like, when you fall in love, but you fall in love as a kid, but when you fall in love as an adult, it's completely two different things. Because when you fall in love with a kid, there's so many different risk factors that you don't consider, and you can make the life miserable for you and your partner. But when you love as an adult, you love somebody as an adult, you create stability for the person, and you also create more liberty, more happiness for the person, because it does not become like a dramatic scenario where it's like a Romeo and Juliet, when two families are against it, and therefore they're kind of trying to survive, and then they die essentially as a result of that. And so I think for me the goal with CyberDeus is to have this alignment, love, good profit maximization, making sure that the businesses declare more things with regards to the effect they create on externalities, go against lobbyists that primarily are driven for profits at the expense of life, because there's some companies that kill people with their products outside of supply chain, while making products, and they don't get they don't get scrutinized for it. And usually what happens is when too many people died when it could be avoided, then it becomes a news media article, and people rebel against the company. I think like as soon as any of that information comes into public, it should be addressed and make sure that less people die. I think that's kind of the things that I would go for as well. And I think also the financial mechanism, the value exchange. I think the traditional value holding for the nation, for the purchasing power of the whole nation and the government itself, can be restructured in a way that gives ability for the government to evolve itself in a way that it's not tied to the financial systems, but make sure that people within the nation, they see that money that went into investing goes into the projects, but then they see where the money left the nation or stayed within the nation. Because the problem is, like right now with the whole government and fiat systems, is that everybody is trying, within government system, is trying to invite a lot of money into their nation, and they do some weird mechanisms, like sometimes speculative mechanisms to do that. And we see that a lot right now with the I don't want to say name of the nation, but we see a lot of that recently, where people without awareness kind of losing the wealth and the money goes in. And the way I want to do it is by making sure that the smart contracts for the registering of the companies would create an ability for a company to register its shares on tokens, and those tokens will act as shares. The money can come from any nation anywhere in the world, and make sure that registering of the companies would happen like instantly, where a person can literally go into an online system and say, I want to register a company, click, 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 here's the name of the company, here's the address. It might not need another address actually. The problem is like lots of companies don't need an address. We're talking here right now, I can create product in my bedroom. If I write a code, I don't need to register my home address, like anywhere. But people register their address because of the legislative issues. So I think the Web3, Web4 integration. So if CyberDeus becomes the president of the nation, it becomes that powerful. It's not just like institutional role. I think it will just be like there's a book I'm writing right now. I don't want to name the title because I'm writing with a close friend of mine. It's about AI integration to the government. We didn't really talk about it becoming a president, but we talked about how it could increase lifespan, monitor data, how it could avoid natural disasters, or at least mitigate those scenarios where less people would die. And if the natural disaster hits, we'll make sure that the coordination between institutions happen in a way that gives as much data as possible, so they can react instantly instead of like having the issues of communication where people don't know what to do. So we're writing that piece of literature right now, and I'm grateful for a friend of mine. I wouldn't mention his name, but he's consulting governments on AI integration, and multiple governments.
Which one?
Let me once I release it, I don't want to I don't want to mention the names of the governments because it's his work, and I respect privacy. If he would want me to, I can message him now, ask him if I can mention it. But I think it's best once I publish it, I just I will just say I'll refer to the first episode and talk about it. I'm writing.
You know what's the goodness thing I got here from this conversation, that as Michael Jackson said, they don't care about us. We saw within 100 of years at least, or lifetime, we see that governments don't care about us. Right now, we as creators has to create the rules for ourselves, not for others, for ourselves, to keep AI care even a little bit about us. I believe here there is a way of the story, and I feel that if AI, or if there is a possibility of make some solutions happen, they will happen, and they will not stop because of the greediness, because of the selfishness, because of the bias, or because of another human beings behaviors, and what we like to do too much within our lives and with others. It means here has to be done some interesting species or mechanism which able to create something for us, or for free, or for okay, not abuse, not abuse others, because here is more, here is a more concept of the freedom, because when you are free to do something, and I know, I'm sorry, where you are free of the choice, it's really needful freedom for the human being himself. Because when you are not free and you don't have any choice, and you always stuck in the rules, I believe it's only one way to escape is on Moon, on Mars, or somewhere else. Because within human beings, it's very hard to find that consensus, literally. You are laughing. Looks like you.
There's a person here. There's a person here that looks at me in the like with a frame that she doesn't like the thing that occupied the space. Freedom. 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 Liberace. Yes. Thank God I have a background. It's very scary. Governments care about us, man. I don't think that, like, there are bad actors in governments. As in business, there's always corruption. It's any government as well. But there's good actors, and I've seen both. I've seen government individuals that I want to punch in the face, and I've seen government individuals that I highly respect, like Lee Kuan Yew, like Singapore founding father. Great example of a person that transformed the nation, made it into a superpower, made it into a safe haven, made it into a really good place to be at.
You know what? Can I a little bit I'll say comment here. Right now you are talking about the persons you don't know personally. First, it means history always lies. I'm not talking about the history. Human beings always lies. They are lying much more than the telling truth. And the thing is, that persona is being very bad for his own family, for his own friends. It means you don't know the truth behind, and it's impossible to be okay or to be honest with everyone. Means here it's two different scenarios, and we don't know the truth, the exactly truth. I see that within, let's say, my life, so many stories I used to hear, and when I'm discovering the truth, or when I'm going a little bit deeper, I see so many shit. And to be frank with you, I don't want even touch it. I don't want to even know about this. Live it. That's why only one way is to create your own way, your own vision, and have not too much, a little bit freedom of your personal choice. That's it.
Well, with regards to Lee Kuan Yew family, he was really tough on the family. With regards to not allowing them to become a beneficiary of the government, because a lot of theodalic processes happen in the way that when you create, like, a government system, government structure, and suddenly you have those relatives, friends coming over, and you kind of like go in a position like you trust them that they will not screw you, or they'll not try to remove you from the position. Where he did it, he wasn't pushing themselves into the spaces which would give them power of other other people. He was going towards not trust but competence, and making sure that creates a culture that would bring more of those people. I think that's what I respect of Lee Kuan Yew. I understand what you're saying. He was tough on his family and friends. I personally believe that if you're transparent, that you want to create the best impact for the masses, then that might be the case that you have to go through. That instead of going this feudalic power structure where you give a lot of access to the resources towards your relatives, you make sure that the people who can manage it more accurately towards value creation for other people, they should have that access towards it. So I think it's not that I disagree with you, but it's just like, I think that's what I see. That's my observation. From personal experience, I've seen government individuals that are right. Which nation I should mention? I think a few in Armenia that I believe personally were like, really keen. In Singapore, in Taiwan.
You just named Armenia?
Huh?
You just named Armenia?
Yeah. In Armenia,
I used to live there most of my life. Forget it. All true, all not true, all fake, all bullshit from the inside.
Well, I don't disagree.
You
It's
know
just
what?
like,
The thing is, we get excited of the things which we don't know. Really. People get excited of the Dubai because they never used to live there. People get excited of some another places because it has a desire. We are in our heads, The main problem is our mind looks like. We are trapped in here and we don't know the exactly stories what happened. Maybe even no need to know, because once we understood that knowledge, maybe we don't want to live another minute. I don't know. I understand it. It means there is no reason. You see, it's super good that you have this positive way of the living. But here is the main stuff. Is the main question: do masses really need it? Let's say you want to get rid of the pollution. Do someone really need it? If you are talking about one persona or one group of the person, say, okay, guys, here's the good place. You can, let's say, you can smell or you can breathe very healthy air without pollution. But the rest of the people, they like it. Because sometimes when you are going in some location, and this example is also present, when all the countries, all the Western countries going to Africa and trying to get them lives better. Reality shows all of them went there, abused, then Africans abuse themselves, and the life becomes worse. Maybe this scenario doesn't work. I would like to find the right answers, because when we understood some scenarios, at least we're able to do good decisions. Always in our vision, the implementation of our project or our company is always bright. But once you are facing the market, or once you're facing community, or you're facing the reality, the things getting changed too fast. Sometimes you understood, oh shit, it's no need to do this. This is the momentum which I realized how to test, how to go through this, very hard step, or maybe to create that environment better online, because in real life it's too much complication. You need to be aligned with all the people around you, and sometimes you are thinking, man, just I would like to create in something big, but better for me to take care about my personal pocket, my personal stuff around, and what I really want, and only to take care about others. They will figure out by themselves.
yeah, I mean, it's like it's personal gain out of like a community gain. Like what's the balance? How do you balance that? And I believe I mean, every person has right to believe what they believe. But what my belief is that if something affects the quality of the air that we breathe, I think it's important enough to tackle it. And if there's somebody who figured out the way to scale a solution, or somebody who figured out a solution, then they should speak about it. And that's what essentially we are working on. I believe that with the industrial hemp, if we scale it properly with profitability, create an awareness enough to create demand for products that is made out of the biomass and hemp seeds and the rest, then we're able to shift that perspective and bring that value into the consumers by making sure that the air becomes cleaner, and at the same time the product becomes more available. So I believe, yes, there's a personal interest in every person. Like, I do believe that, like, with time, that CyberDeus will create profits, revenues for the team, for the stakeholders who are involved, to maybe not think about how to, like, survive the basics. Yeah, because the basics are important. Once the basics are covered, then you can focus 100% on the thing. I mean, how do we shift the focus of the community? I mean, my issues with the government, the only issue with government I think that I've seen publicly spoken, if it's not corrupt, is the idea that I believe government individuals should have families, should have children. Because if you are in a high role and you don't have children, it's like I've seen my mind shifted, and I think that I start thinking more long term, not just like I want something now at the expense of other things, but I want to create something that stands the test of time, but also not harm the environment. And when you like, I think I mean, every person has the right to have not to have children. They might want to transform the environment in a better way, even without the children. But what I see from my personal observation, I think the government, individuals who are responsible for managing the government, um, should have children. Even though I must say that the children might have a lot of time consuming, because children are children. They take a lot of your time, your energy, if you are raising them. But you evolve as a person. So it's like it's a shifting mindset, but at the same time it takes a lot of your time. So it's like, again, I might need to reconsider this, but the idea is, life as a whole, you want to create better life for the future, not just for the today. That's my main idea for this. And for the society to shift that focus, I think that, as you mentioned, that the people are trashing the planet, throwing stuff in the oceans. Hundreds of millions of tons of plastic is in the ocean, and we need to figure out the solution, how to make it profitable. Some simulation use cases show it's possible. We're experimenting that. We want to make sure it's scalable. Like, how do we create this mechanism where you solve issues of the stuff that will affect everybody, but at the same time does not affect today, because people are not, I don't think they're not sensitive. The sensory systems didn't receive the information that it will start affecting you. React now. I think AI systems has a really good role in that. It's like, I like to say that Web3 is about trust. Still, I think this Web3 in done right way is about trust, but AI is about statistics. It's about making better decisions. And trust about data. Web3 is about trust about data. If you do no garbage in, no garbage out, you bring money into the system, more people become wealthier, live a healthier lifespan, and create value across the board.
I believe this is very good final message for today's conversation. Thank you so much for having me on your show. Thanks me for asking good questions and being interactive somehow. Guys, I believe the community, thanks for this podcast, will become more aware about what's happening in the world. We will have supporters and people who will not only comment, who also follow, ask our question, and reach us. Me and Andronik. Thank you so much.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. Thank you for coming here. It's pleasure to always speak with you and any topic. I mean, Web3, AI, tech is like you well-rounded person who understand the role of the game. And I think you are one of those people who is highly sensitive with regards to government and not just like want to doesn't give a compliment, but it's reality that you take, like, there's always an idea that when you the optimist makes the plane, the pessimist makes the parachute. You have to have both. And the idea of the government, you can extremely negative, pessimist, and nihilistic people regarding the government's performance. They can pinpoint things more effectively in some ways that the optimist might. So I'm grateful for you to, you know, to give your honest opinion about the matter of things. I mean, yeah, thank you for thing, and also for your community. If you, I mean, for, you know, for everyone who is listening in your community. I mean, we all share it, so like evolve together. Anyway, thanks, brother.
Yes,
Peace.
see you very soon.
See you soon, man.